In this video, I'm going to show you how to use your existing contact data to make informed business decisions. After this video, you'll have the know-how you need to use your data to decide what market and customers provide growth opportunities, which products to market to which customers, which channels, touchpoints, and offers are the most effective, and what is and isn't working. I'll do this by walking you through two fundamentals of data analysis. The first is automatic segmentation and tracking of key metrics. The second is creating custom dashboards to visualize metric stats, how they move, how they relate, and how they were impacted by your decisions. With these fundamentals, it will be easy to pull hard facts about your business, how it operates, and decide what to do next. For teaching purposes, I'm going to use number 4, what is and isn't working. What we're going to do is set up a data model, and we're going to evaluate 4 critical components of a new opportunity acquisition campaign. We're going to look at the value of our lead source. We're going to see the strength of our message positioning. We're going to compare our target performance, and we're also going to measure the contributions and activity of our remote sales development team. I've used Google Sheets to lay out the data model that we're going to work with in this example. You can use any connected database or CRM tool of your choosing in order to sync this data into Makesbridge. Now, you could even use Makesbridge itself. You can enable Makesbridge accounts for your sales development reps in order to get that data in, because we do have tagging capabilities and other sales enablement capabilities for those individuals. The key thing is you want to be able to sync the data into Makesbridge for the analytics, but as you're going to see, we're going to be executing some targeted marketing as well. This is the data model we'll use for the demonstration. I'll keep the fields on the top part of the screen so we can refer back to them as we go along. Besides email address and basic contact information, here's the ideal set of firmographic information we'll have. We'll know their employees, revenue, industry, any competitors that they're using, and any other tools that they're using. Now, those columns are what leverage heavily into our messaging and our positioning. Obviously, we want to have the lead source, and you see that in column W, and we want to have our SDR, that's our sales development rep, who we know is going to be making the calls. We have our number of calls, the call result, and lead source response. The last piece of advice I'll give you about your data model is make sure you have some controls as to what your telesales reps can enter into the database, and this is typically done through a pick list. When your data model is in place, you can start working in Makesbridge. Here's an overview of what you'll need to set up. First, you'll set up a daily recurring data sync that imports all your data and those updates into Makesbridge. Makesbridge already has sync wizards in place with Google Apps, Salesforce, NetSuite, and HighRise. You can also set up recurring FTP sweeps, and we do have APIs to do the same thing. Second, you'll create tag bots to track performance. Third, you're going to create 2 nurture tracks that target 2 different segments. And last, you're going to set up a custom report. And this is the report that will provide you with full visual on data source performance, strength of messaging positioning, target performance, and sales development rep contributions. To set up my daily sync with my cloud app, I click Connect with Apps on the main page. In this example, we're using Google, so I click on the Google icon. At this time, I click the plus icon and I begin to set up my import. I recommend that you import to a list that is the same name as your list source. I choose Datanize and then I click Next. Makesbridge has gone out into my Google Drive account and it's pulled up the different sheets that I have. I'm able to select which sheet I want to use for this import. The import wizard will read all the different fields that I have set up on the data sheet, and all I need to do from here is begin to map them. You'll notice that I can see the custom fields that I've created within the data sheet, and I'm able to run a search for them within the Makesbridge tool, so I can make sure that I've got that conforming data within Makesbridge to run all of my analytics and also do some of my custom messaging for them. When I'm done mapping my fields, I click Next. At this time, we're scheduling the frequency of the import, and we like to do it every business day of the week, and typically we like to get it done in the morning around 10 o'clock. My last step is to click Save. And you'll see the import that you just created in your list of different imports that are running. After you've set up your daily data sync, the next step you're going to take is to set up all of your tag bots. From the main page, you click the automation tile and then click into the Autobots gallery. Notice that I'm going to choose the tag view so I can have everything organized and I don't see all of my different bots at once, because right now I'm just focused on setting up my tag bots, which are going to get me my analytics. Before I demonstrate how to set up a tag bot, I got a list here of recommended tag bots for you to use for each new data source that you're testing to build your contact database. At a high level, you see we want to know the number of records that each data source is providing to us. We want to know if they're giving us anonymous email addresses, because that's an indication of quality. We want to know the total number of sales development rep calls that have been made. We want to also know how many times each sales development rep has called these individuals. We also want to know the call results, and we also want to know what was a lead response. Lead response is the ultimate indicator about what is and isn't working in our opportunity development. It's going to tell us if our marketing messages are off point. It's going to tell us if we're targeting the right people. It's going to tell us if our sales development reps are well trained and on point, and will also let us know if our lead source is any good. Also, if you passed the gate page on your way to this video, we offer you a document that maps each bot, its filter rules, what it measures, what it indicates, the value of what it's telling you, and minimum performance requirements. Now I'll show you how to set up a tag bot. I click Add Autobot at the top of the gallery, and then I click on a tag bot. And I'm going to name this one Lead Source Datanize. I hit Create. Now I'm going to set my target, which is basically another way of saying I need to set a filter for what the bot is going to look for within my database every single day, constantly, to update the count. So I'm going to click Set Target, and I'm going to add a target. So now what I'll do is use the field that I'm using. Now when we made our map, we called that data source, we called it the lead source. Equal to Datanize, and I set my target. Now if I'd like to add additional fields, I can do that as well. Let's say that I want to see anyone that is a lead source, I want to know what the call result was. And let's just say I want to know if we had them be interested. So that means that every day when we're syncing in from that Google Sheet or whatever that CRM tool is, which is freshening our data, when those records come in, the bot is going to take a look at who matches and it's going to increment the count accordingly. So the note about the bots is that we're keeping count daily and we're taking daily summaries or daily snapshots of the counts. So when I'm done with that, I just save my target and then I save my bot. Now when my bot is saved, all I need to do is just play and it's going to start to keep score of who is matching that record. So that is how you create an Autobot. Again, I'll refer back to this sheet that we've created for you, where we're giving you all the different bots and then all the different rules you're going to want to set for the bots to keep things going. Our third setup item is to set up 2 targeted nurture tracks. And the reason why we're going to set up 2 targeted nurture tracks is we want to have an indication as to how one target is faring versus the next. The 2 nurture tracks we have set up both target our list source from Datanize. There's just a subtle difference between the 2 targets though. The first one, we're targeting our competitors' customers. In the second target, we are also targeting our competitors' customers, but we've added a criteria where they use Salesforce as well. So I'm going to show you the first message that just shows you the subtle difference between the two. In the first one, you see the subject line is we're just talking about basically our value proposition and how our competitors are challenged for B2B revenue growth. Now, in the first message of the other one, we're talking about the lack of resources as it relates to their use of Salesforce. So the core message is going to be the same of what we can offer, but how we're approaching the individual is a little bit different. The value it's going to have for us is we're going to have a sense for whichever message pulls the best is where we want to focus additional targeting and additional resources and even training for our salespeople, because we want to play to the strength of our messages. So that makes for a good segue into our analytics area, because I'm going to show you how the two different nurture tracks from the same data source but with a slightly different angle on the message, how they compare. On the main page, I'm going to go into the reports area, and this is where we can create custom reports. So we're using a custom report called O'Shea Performance Dashboard. This is a custom performance dashboard we've created for one of our marketing partners. And right off the bat, we see our two different nurture tracks. We have one which is geared towards the Salesforce people, and then we have another one that's geared towards the people who do not use Salesforce. Again, both groups use our competitors. So what's nice about this dashboard is I can see side by side how one is faring versus the next. So let's look at the open rates for this message. We're at about a 20% open rate, and these are people who haven't heard from us before, so that's pretty good. Now we're going to look at the other message, 22%. On the basis of getting a 20 and a 22% open rate, we confirm three different things at once. First, the data source is pretty good. Second, our message seems to be strong enough to be piquing the interest of the individuals who are receiving them. And third, my targets are working pretty well, and I'm really happy to know that I've got a heightened ceiling in terms of being able to remove that Salesforce Select to get some action from my audience. So now let's turn our attention to our sales development reps and see what's going on there. These guys are very important because they're going to be reinforcing the email messages that are going out and working to close these people on trials and demos and discovery calls. So let's take a look at some of the high level numbers that I have here. I see I've got 260 records coming in from Datanyze, and then I have a second lead source we're using called Lead Ferret. So that's looking pretty good. Now, I've got 235 calls that were made, and then out of those, we've connected with 58 of them. So that's a pretty healthy percentage. Now I also see that my tracking on the voicemails and the voicemail twos are pretty consistent. So our telesales reps are doing their jobs in terms of calling and following back up. Now the another data that I'm looking at here is my interested Datanyze. I got 15 people out of 206. So that's a fairly healthy percentage as well. Now I see that out of all the records that we have, only 12 people have not been called. So I feel pretty good about what I'm seeing so far. But I want to drill down a little bit further. And what I can do is I can apply a date range so I can get a sense for the pacing that's going on with my team. So I see how many connected calls I've had over the last 7 days. I can see how many calls were made. I can see how many calls where no one was available, voicemails left, and second voicemails, again by day. Then as I go down this chart, this timeline chart, we're able to see what the list growth has been by day over the last week, and then we can also see what connections there were as well. So this is a really handy chart if you want to not only look at the top line of what's going on, but again, like what the daily pacing and the daily activity has been for these people. And I'm happy to see that we've had a couple people really interested over the last couple days. That's pretty nice. Another useful feature of using our tag bots to tag people automatically is that I'm able to see how each of these different segments are responding to our email marketing. And here's what I mean. I can look at my Datanyze data set. You see the little bar chart there. If I click on it, I can see that 26% of these people are openers. Now I have another one where the lead source is lead ferret, and I see that it's only 9%. So there I get a really quick comparison of how one data source performs overall. Now this is a relevant comparison because one of the things I didn't note in that nurture track is that we're pouring both leads from Datanyze and lead ferret into those nurture drips. So we've consolidated lead sources in that case. And here with the tags or the performance report for each tags, I can clearly see that Datanyze is a better source for us. Another data set that I want to compare is if the call's connected, are these people responding to our emails? And I see that I've got 29% of those people are openers. Another set of analytics I want to look at from my sales development reps is the lead response. So here's a data set right here where I see my interested Datanyze count is 15. Now my lead response interested overall is 16. The difference there is that we've got some lead ferrets in there too. I like seeing the ratio of not interested versus interested. So I have more people interested that have told us that they flat out don't want to speak with us anymore. That's pretty good. And lastly, over here, our outdated count looks pretty good. Now I can compare the outdated lead source records that I have with my total number of records. So if this were purely Datanyze right here and I were to compare it to my 206 records, that's about 10% outdated. So that's an acceptable threshold for us as long as we're getting an appropriate number of people that are interested and an appropriate number of people that were connected. But certainly we have that in our back pockets with any conversations we're going to have with a lead source. Along the lines of outdated bad data, I've placed a page from our tutorial supplement up on the screen. You'll see the benchmark we shoot for is 5% of bad addresses. I'll conclude the instructional video with how to set up a custom report. From the main page, click on the Reports and Analytics tile, then click into Reports. Now to create your custom report, just click Add Report. You'll see on your screen we give 5 different options for you to pull data in. Those will be for email campaigns, Autobots, nurture tracks, tags, and web stats. So we've been working with tags. Okay, these were auto bots that we're tagging. So I'm going to click tags and I'm going to click here to add tags and I'm going to type in Datanyze. So I'll see how many records I've got and I want to know how many folks we connected with, how many are interested, and we see here we have another conversion statistic for Datanyze registered seminar. I just click done and all of those tags that we created through those tag bots, the data, the current level is populated here. Again, if I want to look at the trends of how things have been going over say the last week, 30 days or a date range, I can do that. I just choose one of the options and I can see what our list growth has been. I can see if our telesales reps have been connecting with these people. I can see what the interest has been over the last few days. And here I'm able to see how many conversions we're actually getting on our web seminars. This brings the instructional component of this video to an end. If you do not yet have a supplement, I encourage you to download it from our resources area on Makesbridge.com. In the supplement, I've provided detailed setup instructions for 16 tag bots that will track 16 key metrics of health for opportunity development. You'll see what these 16 tag bots measure, what those measurements indicate, the value and decisions you can make from having these measurements, and minimum acceptable standards for all. I hope you found this tutorial to be useful, and please share this with your colleagues. If you have any suggestions or topics you'd like our editorial staff to research, write about, or even provide tutorials for, please let us know. We want to be of assistance. Thanks again.